But why does it keep happening to black people? You got to ask yourself this question now. Why does it keep happening to black people? It doesn't happen to Caucasian people. It doesn't happen to Jewish people. It doesn't happen to the members of the LGBTQP, don't forget X, Y, and Z community. It doesn't happen to the Asian community. And sometimes it does happen to the Latin or Hispanic or Mexican or whatever community. But it always happens to black people. And you must ask yourself why.
You white, you the prosecutor. You got to get elected. Huh? That county you live in, ain't no black folks in that county. So here's a white cop shoot 12 black folks dead. You think you gonna prosecute them? With them ignorant white folks that got to vote for you every 4 years and you buying a house, gonna send your children to college, you got to pay insurance. You can't change that till you understand that and change that. How many black folks go to jobs? That's dangerous, but they can't stop.
You must ask yourself, what good is a black agenda if black life is treated without any worth? What good is a black agenda if black life is treated without any worth?
What's it going to take for you guys to be okay tonight and to stop this chaos?
It ain't me. It's not me. I'm going to let y'all know that now. It's not us guys neither. And I'm glad that y'all said that. It's not us. It's the police. This the madness that they spark up. This is what they encourage. This is what they provoke. This is what you get out of you taking a loved one from someone. This is what you get. You get a lot of people that's hurt, and they can't vent the right way. They can no longer depend on the police to be here to protect us like they say they gonna do. So this is what you get. And no, it's not gonna end today. I can't tell you it's gonna end tomorrow. I don't know when it's gonna end. But it's for y'all to start. We're not the ones that's killing us. Y'all killing us. We can't make a change if y'all don't change.
The black agenda would have to include the preservation of black people. But why black people? You see, when it comes to politics, you must be able to bring something to the table or be able to take something away. And we've been voting since 1870, and black people are still getting killed in the streets. What nobody wants to address is this. Black people are getting killed because they are black. I'll say it again. Black people are getting killed because they are black. And what does it mean to be black? To be black means you don't have any social leverage, you don't have any political leverage, and you don't have any economic leverage. This is why black people are able to get murdered in the streets by the police.
Each one of us, I think, is terribly alone. He lives his own individual life. He has all kinds of obstacles in the way of religion or color or size or shape or lack of ability, and the problem is to become a man.
But what I was discussing was not that problem, really. I was discussing the difficulties, the obstacles, the very real danger of death thrown up by the society when a black man attempts to become a man.
You see, when people become black people, they lose value. And they lose value because they are no longer people. They are black people. They are reduced to a thing. We don't want to look at history, but history has shown being black in this country has been very problematic for us. So much to the point where we get murdered in broad daylight, in the street, and nobody does anything.
I'll tell you this. When I left this country in 1948, I left this country for one reason only, one reason. I didn't care where I went. I might have gone to Hong Kong, I might have gone to Timbuktu. I ended up in Paris, on the streets of Paris, with $40 in my pocket on the theory that nothing worse could happen to me there than had already happened to me here. You talk about making it as a writer by yourself. You had to be able then to turn off all the antenna with which you live, because once you turn your back on this society, you may die.
People may ask, well, why black people? And I will tell you, because they are black. We've already established that this does not happen to Caucasian people, Jewish people, members of the LGBTQP, don't forget X, Y, and Z community, Asians. This doesn't happen to those groups. And for the most part, I would venture to say, this doesn't happen to any group. If an illegal immigrant, Mexican or from Central America or South America, was killed in cold blood in the street by the police without breaking any laws, without committing any crime, it would be outrage. Even though they were an illegal immigrant, it would be outrage. So how can black people who are U.S. citizens get treated the worst out of everybody, even immigrants? I will tell you, it's because we are black.
The years I lived in Paris did one thing for me. They released me from that particular social terror, which was not the paranoia of my own mind, but a real social danger visible in the face of every cop, every boss, everybody. I don't know what most white people in this country feel, but I can only include what they feel from the state of their institutions. I don't know if white Christians hate Negroes or not, but I know that we have a Christian church which is white and a Christian church which is black. I know, as Malcolm X once put it, that the most segregated hour in American life is high noon on Sunday. That says a great deal for me about a Christian nation. It means that I can't afford to trust most white Christians and certainly cannot trust the Christian church. I don't know whether the labor unions and their bosses really hate me. That doesn't matter, but I know I'm not in their unions. I don't know if the real estate lobby is anything against black people, but I know the real estate lobbies keep me in the ghetto. I don't know if the Board of Education hates black people, but I know the textbooks that give my children to read and the schools that we have to go to. Now, this is the evidence. You want me to make an act of faith, risking myself, my wife, my woman, my sister, my children, on some idealism which you assure me exists in America, which I have never seen.
We are in a tough spot. Some people say, let's seek revenge. Some people say, let's pray. Some people say, let's try to affect change in government. Some people say, let's move away. Some people say, we should protect ourselves. Some people say, those officers should have been attacked. Some people say, we don't even need police. Some people say, let's go to Africa. Some people say, let's all come together in love. Some people say, I don't see color. Guess what? It doesn't matter what people say. The end result is black people getting killed.
We have to go to the root. We have to go to the cause. Dealing with the condition itself is not enough. And it is because of our effort toward getting straight to the root that people oftentimes think we're dealing in hate. We are oppressed. We are exploited. We are downtrodden. We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights. So the only way we're going to get some of this oppression and exploitation away from us or aside from us is come together against the common enemy.
I don't care what your solution is. Regardless of what you think, black people are still getting killed in the streets. So you must ask yourself, what am I willing to do?
The controlled press, the white press, inflames the white public against Negroes. The police are able to use it to paint the Negro community as a criminal element. The police are able to use the press to make the white public think that 90% or 99% of the Negroes in the Negro community are criminals. And once the white public is convinced that most of the Negro community is a criminal element, then this automatically paves the way for the police to move into the Negro community, exercising Gestapo tactics, stopping any black man who is on the sidewalk, whether he is guilty or whether he is innocent, whether he is well-dressed or whether he is poorly dressed, whether he is educated or whether he is dumb, whether he's a Christian or whether he's a Muslim. As long as he is black and a member of the Negro community, the white public thinks that the white policeman is justified.
I'm not an advocate for violence, but I am an advocate for self-preservation, and I am an advocate for self-defense. This whole thing is tricky because most black people will tell you that we can't fight back, and most white people will tell you not to fight back. It's a very tricky and tough situation because we are thinking about self-preservation, we are thinking about self-defense, but we are also thinking about not actually continuing the destruction of our people. But ironically, it's happening anyway.
He got his knee on my neck, cut circulation. What's worse, corona or extermination? Don't say Black Lives Matter perpetrating. Stop recording, put your phone down, nigga, put your camera down. Come and help me, put your camera down. Come and help me, put your camera down. Come and help me.
So if we can't retaliate and we can't defend ourselves, then we are at the mercy of people who don't care about us. It doesn't sit right with me to know that a person could wake up and just feel like I don't deserve to live anymore. That doesn't sit right with me. It doesn't sit right with me for someone to feel like they can just take my life because they feel like doing it. It doesn't sit right with me that people can take someone's life and get away with it because that life is not valued.
And this force that is so visible in the Harlem community creates a spirit of resentment in every Negro. They think they're living in a police state and they become hostile toward the policeman. They think that the policeman is there to be against them rather than to protect them. And these thoughts, these frustrations, these apprehensions automatically are sufficient to make these Negroes begin to form means and ways to protect themselves in case the police themselves get too far out of line.
I always talk about the original intent never going away. The original intent of the police was to patrol the slaves, meaning if slaves ran away, the police would capture the slaves and bring them back to the wealthy landowners, or they would keep slaves from running away. They were there to assist the slave owners in handling their slaves. So the intent of the police department, police force, and police officers was to keep slaves in line. That was the original intent. That intent still remains today. The police, for the most part, keep us in line because we don't have any social, political, or economic leverage. Those other communities do. They wouldn't stand for it. So the manifestation of what we see today in police officers is what their original intent was, and that will not be changed. I don't care who you vote for, it will never change. Now, if we stop spending with these major corporations, then we will see some change. But I don't think we're prepared to do that. I don't think we're prepared to stop spending with these Fortune 500 companies, because if we did, we would see an immediate change. America is a corporation, and the corporations run America. So if you affect the corporation's bottom line, if you affect their profit margin, they're the ones that will put pressure on these police departments. Again, if you are not willing to withhold the vote, then at least be willing to withhold that money.
I don't think when a man is being criminally treated, that some criminal has the right to tell that man what tactics to use to get the criminal off his back. When a criminal starts misusing me, I am going to use whatever necessary to get that criminal off my back. And the injustice that has been inflicted upon Negroes in this country by Uncle Sam is criminal. Don't blame a cracker in Georgia for your injustices. The government is responsible for the injustices. The government can bring these injustices to halt.
We are in a tough spot. What are we prepared to do? We can't go to war. We got to vote Democratic. If you think about being black, it's just filled with limitations. We can't retaliate. We can't defend ourselves. And we have to vote Democratic. We are just filled with limitations. And this is the problem. The problem is being black doesn't come with many options.
You pass legislation and say every cop have to be insured. So we take out policy. Everybody carry a gun, have to be insured. The first time you violate that, you lose your license. If you're a cab driver, you can't drive your cab, you ain't got no license. Now, do you hate niggas more than you like feeding your family?
We shouldn't be black, because when you're black, you can get murdered in the streets and they tell you you can't defend yourself. They tell you you can't seek revenge. They tell you you can't retaliate. They tell you you can't start a war. They tell you you must vote Democratic. Being black comes with limitations because that was the purpose.
Then your behavior changes. Make you like me. Make you have to be careful about the people you do like. And every cop, their children should go to school for free. Because you got to give them something that they can't afford to lose. It's that simple. You drive down the street, you get 5 moving tickets, you lose your license. That's what make you stop at that stop sign.
Right. But they don't, the system doesn't want to punish cops.
I didn't say that. I didn't ask you the question. I didn't say, did they? I said, here's how you do it.
This couldn't happen to any other group, but it has been happening to black people for centuries. What they are not going to tell you is that being black is to be limited. Being black is to not be human. Being black is to be subject to the oppression in this country. When you are black, they will tell you you cannot seek revenge. You cannot retaliate. You cannot protect. You cannot defend. And you must vote Democratic.
They attack you, bust you all upside your mouth, and then take you to court and charge you with assault. What kind of democracy is that? What kind of freedom is that? What kind of social or political system is it when a black man has no voice in court, has nothing on his side other than what the white man chooses to give him? My brothers and sisters, we have to put a stop to this, and it will never be stopped until we stop it ourselves. They attack the victim, and then the criminal who attacked the victim accuses the victim of attacking him. Yes, sir. This is American justice. Yes, sir. That's right. This is American democracy. Yes, and those of you who are familiar with it know that in America, democracy is hypocrisy.
Is that any way to live? Again, it just doesn't sit right with me that someone could wake up one morning and decide, I don't deserve to live, and be supported in that decision.
There's some folks riding around and they got the authority to ride around in the neighborhood, but they'll jump out the car and grab you and rape you. And your mother and father is teaching you, if you see them coming, behave. Behave. Don't run. Don't raise your voice. How do you get so low down in spirit that you're going to teach your child how to behave with filth? You should be telling the rapists.
I guess the question I'm asking is, what are we prepared to do? If we're not prepared to hold the vote, and we're not prepared to hold the money, and we're getting killed in the streets, then what are we prepared to do?
Y'all do that with police brutality. You take a human being created by the universal God and say, now y'all behave. The white police walk up to you, don't talk too fast. No. I got a DNA mom and dad that you don't control. Huh? You don't control. And when you telling me that, I might be quiet and listening to you, but I don't respect you. How you gonna lecture me about how polite I have to be?
Come on now.
Because I'm gonna meet somebody that might kill me.
Right.
No, you need to go lecture the police how they better be. Because they don't even know why their behavior is like it is.
This has literally been going on for centuries. This has been going on for centuries. And the only solution I've heard is for black people to vote Democratic. If you don't have control over your life, then none of this stuff matters. If someone can take your life and be supported in the process, then none of this stuff matters. We must start being honest with ourselves. We must start being really honest with ourselves and ask ourselves, what are we prepared to do? If we are not prepared to fight, if we are not prepared to withhold the vote, if we are not prepared to withhold the money, then it seems like the only thing we're prepared to do is die. People don't get involved because they like how the system operates, because it benefits some and it doesn't benefit others. And guess what? Everybody's content with that.
I take your race away, and there you are, all strung out, and all you got is your little self. And what is that? What are you without racism? Are you any good? Are you still strong? You still smart? You still like yourself? I mean, these are the questions.
They know if they get involved, it could disrupt their peace and their happiness. And black people getting killed and treated subhuman is a small price to pay for the American dream.
We, as white people, need to understand that we are inherently racist. White people always seem to find offense when I say this. It's pretty important that we understand this, because if we don't understand that and acknowledge that, then we're not going to do the work to educate ourselves and deprogram that. We are born into a racist world, a world that views us as superior to everybody else, a world whose Sorry, that cut me off, but a world whose systems are set up to benefit us and protect us. Point blank period, we are inherently racist unless we do the work to educate ourselves on the world we live in, the system that we live in, and the system that benefits us. You are either pushing white supremacy forward or you are doing the work to educate yourself so that you can demand the change. There's no in between. Just like my story says, there's no in between right now.
But let me say this. I deserve to live. I have a right to live. This is my country. This is the earth and the fullness thereof. I have a right to be here, and I have a right to be here living my best life. And nobody has the right to stop me from doing that.
Is the sheep preaching hate when he says, I'm not going to let the wolf eat me anymore? If the wolf comes in here, next time he comes in here, I'll do whatever I have to do to keep him off my back. Is the sheep violent or is the wolf the violent one? He wasn't teaching hate, he was teaching common sense. You know, somebody's knocking you over the head, stop them. Do whatever you have to do to stop him. You know, the ones that were knocking him over the head were afraid of the fact that he might swing back, so they said, now he's teaching hate, he's violent.
I have the right to defend my life. I have the right to protect my existence. I have the right to make sure my legacy lives on.
Made by the same God that put the whole planet together. And that God ain't never made no junk. Don't listen to what he say about you. We all got here the same way.
Wait for it. Free Blanche. Get money.